Celtic Badass of the Week showcases a person of Celtic heritage each week. Those who exemplify the give no shit attitude and come out on top. They may come from our past or our present, but rest assured they come from all walks of life and legend. They are men, women, even old ladies and pirate queens. Now you don't have to be a muscled up Celt in a fur kilt swinging a mighty sword. You can just be a 4'11" Welsh woman and suffragette who knows jujitsu. Now most of these badasses are all too real, and while some of these are only legend, they're badass legends. The only prerequisite is Celtic blood and badassedness. Lieutenant Colonel Ronald Speirs. One of the toughest soldiers in World War II was an Easy Company, 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment, 101st Airborne. His name was Ronald Speirs, and he was born in Edinburgh, Scotland, April 20th, 1920. Now, him and his family moved to Boston, Massachusetts when he was only 7. Now, as soon as he could, he enlisted in the U.S. Army, and in 1942, he trained as a paratrooper, becoming a platoon leader in Dog Company, and later company commander of Easy Company. In January 1945, an Easy Company's initial attack on the German-occupied town of Foy bogged down due to the commander, First Lieutenant Norman Dyke, being wounded. Battalion Executive Officer Captain Richard Winters ordered Speirs to take command. Now, the selection of Speirs was incidental, but would go down in the annals of all time as a glorious, badass decision. Now, Winters later stated that Speirs was simply the first officer that he saw when he turned around, but it was probably the unseen power of badassery that drew him to Speirs. Whatever the reason, Speirs successfully took over the assault and led Easy Company to victory. During this battle, Lieutenant Dyke stupidly had ordered a platoon to go on a flanking mission around the rear of the town. To fix this fucked up order, well, Speirs, he wasn't willing to send somebody else to do what he wouldn't do, so he ran right through the town, packed to the rafters with Germans because his platoon had no radio. Thank you, Lieutenant Dyke. And he linked up with the Item Company soldiers and relayed the orders. Then if that wasn't balls to the wall badass enough, he ran back through the German-occupied town to his men. And for this courageous feat of kicking German ass, he was permanently reassigned as commanding officer of Easy Company and remained in that position for the rest of the war. Well, and he got a medal to boot. The citation for the silver medal reads, First Lieutenant Ronald C. Speirs, Parachute Infantry, while serving with the Army of the United States, distinguished himself by gallantry in action. Wow. Now, on 10th of October 1944, in the vicinity of Randwick, Holland, he was assigned the mission of leading a patrol to the bank of the Niger River. Now, to determine enemy activity across the river, they sat up there and checked and just kept an eye on him. Now, he reached the riverbank with his patrol in the early hours of the morning and spent the entire day just observing. That evening, after dark, he voluntarily swam to the opposite side of the bank alone, where he found himself in enemy territory. He located all the enemy machine gun nests, the enemy headquarters, and other enemy activity near the town of Wageningen. Then he secured or stole a rubber boat left by the enemy and returned to the friendly side of the river with the information. Now, upon returning to his own lines, he was wounded by enemy machine gun fire as he crossed. The information obtained proved of great value to his unit. Lieutenant Speirs paved the way for other patrols to make similar reconnaissances. Now, Speirs was quickly becoming one of the finest combat officers in the battalion. Speirs had worked hard to earn a reputation as, a badass killer, and had often killed for shock value, to rouse up the killing spirit of his men. Now, Speirs was alleged on one occasion to have just outright killed 6 German prisoners of war with a Thompson submachine gun. And that the battalion leader, they were aware of these allegations, but they chose to ignore them because of this badass, this dude got shit done. Now, Speirs, he would have been court-martialed and charged with atrocities in the modern-day army. But at the time, officers like Speirs were too valuable because they put fear in the hearts of the enemy. Now, he showed the Germans in no uncertain terms that they weren't afraid to engage them. Now, although Speirs had enough points to go home after the war, he chose to remain with Easy Company. Japan surrendered, and then Speirs and Easy Company would have been transferred to Pacific Theater, but the war was over. A few years later, Speirs served in Korea as a major commanding a rifle company and as a staff officer. He later became the American governor of Spandau Prison in Berlin. He retired as a lieutenant colonel. And Ronald Speirs, well, he passed away in 2007, memorialized, though, in the show Band of Brothers. This dude was a real badass.